In this example, we're going to be looking at how to use jQuery mobile to control buttons. Now on the screen we have three different buttons. A button from an anchor tag or link, the button element or button tag, and an input tag with a type of button. If you look at our source code, you can see in our div, that's our data role page, we have three buttons. Now, in order to create an anchor tag or a hyperlink as a button, we need to use data-role equals button inside of our anchor attribute. However, button and inputs of type button, submit, and reset automatically will become a button. But we can control these and make these look slightly different depending upon what our roles and goals are. For example, we can add an icon. When we reload our page, notice that we have an icon on our left-hand side. However, we can move this by adjusting the data-icon position If we switch back to our browser and reload, you notice that now our icon is at the top of our button instead of off to the left-hand side. As with other places we can put icons, we can choose top, right, bottom, or the default of left if we want. Switching back to our editor, we can modify the theme of a button by simply changing the data-theme. Switch back to our browser, reload, and now notice that our second button, our button element, has a data theme of B. By default, your buttons will take on the data theme of the page. However, you can obviously see where we can override that setting if we want to. Now you'll notice by default, our buttons take up 100% of the width of our screen, regardless of how wide our browser is. In order to make our buttons be inline or take up a smaller space, I'm going to add the class UI-btn and UI-btn-inline. Switch back to our browser and reload, and notice that now our link button is much smaller. Now the default theme of jQuery gives us a button that has a slight shadow and rounded corners. You notice that this is not always the case and may not be the case depending upon how your theme is constructed. Switching back to our browser, we can add UI-corners, -all, and UI-shadow. You notice now that our inline button, which did not have those other attributes, now once again has that shadow and the slightly rounded corners, while maintaining the standard hover state just as it existed with the other pages. However, you also may think that while this is much smaller, it still takes up quite a bit of room. Switch back to our text editor and add the UIDashMini class. And adding this class, you will notice that when we reload our page, our link button became quite a bit smaller. This is because anytime we have UI-mini, it shrinks the padding for that element so it's a little bit smaller so you can fit more on the screen. Now, if you want to go even smaller, we can create a link that has only the icon. So we'll start with the same basic link that we have already. Here we have a data role of button, link. We're going to change this to be an icon only, just so you can kind of see what's going on. The difference is we're going to add two more classes to our icon only link. First, we're going to specify the icon. Next, we're going to specify that we want a button with no text. Save our document, switch back to our browser, and we reload. You notice our link is now an icon only. And because we have rounded corners on all sides, you notice that all we have is our icon. If we didn't have the UI rounded corners class associated with it, you will see a square box around our icon. If you found this video tutorial helpful, please like and share it with others. If you want to keep up with other videos that are coming out, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and like us on Facebook. That way, you can get the most up-to-date information.